everyone, I hope 2022 started off well for you. Myself, I moved to Barcelona, which made me super happy, but also the year started off really busy, which made me go back to researching my favorite wellness topics. But before I delve into that, I have one remaining topic from 2021 that I promised to prepare for you, which is planning a 3-week trip in Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And to share my experience in a way that I think would be most useful, I've divided it into 2 parts. In the first part, I will share the itinerary, so the exact list of places where we went. And in the second part, I will share more general tips that can be useful when you travel to Mexico. To me, one of the main reasons why I wanted to go there is the diversity of underwater life. You can swim in cenotes, you can swim in lagoons, you can swim in the ocean, you can snorkel, you can dive. And to me, this is what I like doing the most during holidays, so there you go. And the second reason was that we wanted to spend 3 weeks somewhere diverse enough so that we're not bored. We wanted, obviously, beautiful beaches and something relaxing, but we also wanted adventure, we also wanted sightseeing, and ideally the mix of all that within one region, so you can travel from one place to another, but without getting really tired and spending days on traveling. So Yucatan proved perfect for that. It's diverse enough to cater to all tastes and all types of travel, all types of budgets, and you have enough to do for 3 weeks or even longer. So since we've never been to that part of the world, we asked our friends who've been there what they think, and here the Pandora box opened. Everyone had a different opinion. It seems to be a very controversial topic, traveling to Mexico, and especially the Yucatan region. First of all, quite a lot of people said that it's going to be expensive, a lot more expensive than traveling in Asia, for instance. A lot of people also mentioned that it's the most touristy region, so you shouldn't go because it's very inauthentic, very touristy and commercial in not a good way. So that was a bit of a red flag for us. Other people warned us that you should be careful about your safety, that some people had accidents with their things being stolen, that maybe renting a car is not the best idea, that you should be very careful after dark or getting your money from an ATM machine. Altogether, we did not really know what to expect, but we were really determined to make it work. We landed in Cancun and we went straight away to get a car, and we decided to go straight away to Merida, not to waste time being in Cancun where we did not want to stay. The local time was about after 7 p.m. when we got the car, but for us it was around 1 a.m. Still, after a long-haul flight, we decided to take a 4-hour drive from Cancun to Merida. Turned out to be a big mistake. We were fighting to stay awake. To make matters worse, we did not get any cash from ATMs at the airport, and it turned out that you have to pay in cash for the highway. So we had a bit of adventures there, but finally we made a stop in Valladolid on the way where we got the money, and we arrived late into the evening in Merida, thankfully. As for Merida itself, it's a beautiful town. It's very cultural, it's very authentic. It's probably one of the least touristy places that we've been to. My favorite things that we've seen there were pyramids, Uxmal, which are less known in comparison to Chichen Itza. So they were a lot less crowded, and I actually preferred them to the ones that are more well known because you could actually kind of walk through the ruins and palaces. It was an extremely beautiful experience. We've seen quite a few cenotes which were not that well known. I really enjoyed them too, and one of them was my favorite one. It was actually 2 cenotes which were linked by a little river, and one of them was in a cave. It was extremely beautiful in my opinion. We also went to Rio Lagartos, and there people usually go to see wildlife, and we managed to see 2 flamingos, even though it wasn't the perfect season to do that. Usually if you want to see flamingos, you should go in the summer months. I know a lot of people are on the fence as to whether you should see Merida or not. To me, personally, it was worth it because of the pyramids experience and the cenote, but at the end of the day, you can decide yourself, and I know this place is often the one that people miss out if they have less time in Mexico. From Merida, we moved to Valladolid, which was, in my opinion, the best town experience that we've had in Yucatan. It's a beautiful, pastel-colored town, and it's a bit more touristy, so you get a lot of hip bars and cafe, but it's also a nice experience. The most remarkable things around Valladolid to see are Chichen Itza pyramids and also cenotes. My favorite cenote was Oxman Cenote, where you have a swing. And one tip that I can give you is that they open very early, around 7 a.m, and they don't limit how long you are there. A lot of cenotes either limit the amount of people who can enter at one time, or you can only enter for 1 hour so that it doesn't get too crowded. But here, you could literally stay all day. We arrived at 7 and we had the place to ourselves for 1.5 hours, and we just kept on jumping into the water. It was really, really amazing. In this particular region, you also have Suytun Cenote, which is extremely, extremely well known. And I have to say it was a bit of a disappointing experience. You literally have a line of people who queue up to take the exact same photo in the middle of cenote. Even though you can also swim there, but it's a cave, so it's pretty dark and a bit colder. So that one I didn't enjoy as much, but I understand if you do want to go and get a picture. I mean, I did go and get a picture, so it's okay. After Valladolid, our next stop was Holbox, so we drove to the place where you can get the ferry to go to Holbox, and we left the car there. There you pay kind of a daily fee to keep your car. It's really safe, everyone does it. And then Holbox itself it's an experience for sure. It's an island where people usually drive golf carts or cycle on sandy roads, and it's mostly just beaches and restaurants and cafes. Personally, I found it a bit overrated. I did not find beaches to be exceptionally beautiful, and it was quite expensive. It could be a good idea if you wanted to try kite surfing, because they had amazing spots to go do kite surfing there, or if you wanted to dive or swim with sharks, but that is only during summer months, July, June, August. For more practical things, Holbox is the one place that has very limited internet, so sometimes card payments do not work. Although you have ATMs on the island, they can run out of money sometimes, so be prepared to take some cash, so at least you have it at the beginning of your trip. We stayed in Holbox 4 days, which in my opinion was too much. I was a bit bored by the end of it, but again, it's up to you and what you want to do. Next stop for us was Tulum, and here we actually had zero expectations. Similarly to Ubud in Bali, it's a very touristic place with a lot of fancy hotels, a lot of Insta spots, a lot of hype. So usually we kind of avoid places like that. And especially with Tulum, 2 weeks before we went there was shooting between gangs, and some tourists who were in the crossfire actually died. So people discouraged us from going. They said not to go. But we still did go, and it felt safe. There was more police and soldiers on the streets, but altogether it did not feel unsafe. It felt like just anywhere else that we've been. And I'm honestly quite happy that we went, despite all this hype and how expensive it can be. I think the place is worth visiting because of how beautiful the beaches are. Tulum had honestly the most beautiful beaches that we've seen during our trip, and the cenotes were incredible as well. You can definitely try diving or free diving in cenotes and in the ocean, which is what we did there. The important thing to know about Tulum is I think that there's a trade-off between location and quality of what you get. Hotels in the zona hotelera next to the beach are very, very expensive. So sometimes you can pay a lot of money for something and then it will not be great quality. So what we decided to do is we stayed in an Airbnb downtown in Tulum, which was really, really nice. It had a pool. It was very big, very spacious, modern. If you have a car or a bike, or even if you just take a taxi, it's still okay to go to the beach. That said, a lot of the beaches in Tulum are harder to access because they're kind of with hotels, and if you want to stay in a beach bar, you have a minimum to spend on drinks and food to stay in the beach bar. For instance, it could be $50. But there's also beautiful deserted beaches about 20-30 minutes away from Tulum, so that's something that I would also recommend. I will leave the name of one of the beautiful deserted beaches that we've seen in that area, and that was a fantastic experience that I could not recommend more to you. Tulum was such a positive surprise that we actually prolonged our stay from 3 to 6 days, and we chose not to do any of those Instagrammable things that people do. We mostly were very active. We went to see the ruins, we were snorkeling, we were diving. So yeah, this place is also perfect for you if you are not into the Instagrammable lifestyle. From Tulum, we went further down south to Bacalar, which is a beautiful region with a wonderful lake that is known for its many shades of blue water, actually. It's called the Lagoon of 7 colors. There, you are very close to nature. I would recommend staying in one of the Airbnbs that are close to the lake or by the lake, so that you can truly enjoy the nature for which this place is known. Bear in mind that it's not that touristy yet, which is a great thing, but also, for instance, we cycled around for 3 hours to find a working ATM one day, so just come prepared, maybe get some cash earlier and have all the things that you need, and be prepared to fully relax being close to the nature. And then our plan was to start going back up to Cancun, where we had our return flight, and we wanted to make one stop on the way to kind of break the trip in two and make it more enjoyable. And our original plan was to go to Cozumel, which is an island that is known for amazing diving experiences. But sadly, the sea in that time was a bit unstable. There was a storm, so we couldn't stop there. And we instead went to Playa del Carmen, which was also very nice. We got to enjoy the city and some nightlife, but it's a bit touristic, so I wouldn't stay there longer than 2 days. I feel like we did a lot in 3 weeks, and we stayed in 6 different places, so it's a lot, but still I felt like it was very relaxing and very chill. We didn't rush anywhere. I also feel like we fully experienced what Yucatan has to offer: its diversity, beautiful nature, city architecture, cenotes, and amazing beaches. Okay, so for the tips, first things first, money. A lot of places still work with cash, so you do need the cash. You should probably get it right away when you are at the airport, because it will come in useful, and also because you have to pay for certain roads. And speaking about roads, I think renting a car is great if you want the freedom to go wherever you want. Book it earlier in advance and pay online, because we heard about a lot of people who then were charged more just because they were on the spot. And make sure you do not pay twice for the insurance, because there's kind of automatic payment for insurance in Mexico anyway, so just make sure you ask so you don't end up paying twice. And also about moving around with the car, be mindful of the roads. They have a lot of speed bumps, like a lot in many places, so just drive slow, make sure you stay safe. One thing that I also recommend that you do is get a SIM card right away. We bought ours in a local shop. It cost about 200 pesos for internet for an entire month, so I think it was really, really worth it, and they put it in right away. They installed it. We had a Mexican phone number for a month. Another tip that I think is really, really important is learn a bit of Spanish if you don't speak Spanish, because people just like it if you make some effort and try and speak their language. Some people do not speak English, so I think it makes a lot of difference. It's a small effort on your part, but it will make your experience a lot more interesting, because you will actually have more authentic interactions with people. Y para mí estoy muy feliz cuando tengo oportunidades para hablar español, para practicar, porque estoy aprendiendo. Y pienso que no es importante si haces errores, si no es correcto. Lo importante es que estás tratando, estás comunicando con la gente. Another tip, I don't think that you need to book all hotels in advance. I think it's enough to have your first night booked and then see how you like which place. Obviously, look at the reviews, see what's important to you, the usual travel stuff. Random things to take that can be useful, maybe a waterproof bag or like this waterproof case for your phone, because you will be a lot in the water, I hope. And also, if you're coming from Europe, an adapter for your chargers. When you're there already and you want to book a trip, I would recommend not to book them with hotels, because these usually tend to be more expensive. Usually, if the price is in US dollars, it means it's more expensive. We had one case where we asked about a snorkeling trip in a hotel, and they've asked for, I think, $100, and then we went and got this trip locally with fishermen on the beach, and we paid $6 or $7, I think. One final piece of advice, see enough cenotes, because they're very unique, they're specific to this region. There's about 8,000 of them, and some of them are open water, so they're like lakes. Other ones are half open, half cave, half lake. Other ones are completely in a cave. They're very unique, very beautiful, so just make sure you get enough of them. Altogether, it was such an incredible experience, very diverse. I think Yucatan is diverse enough for you to have any type of holiday you could want. If you're into luxury hotels, you have a lot of that, but if you want to have budget holiday, adventure holiday, focus on sports, there's definitely a lot of that. If you're into culture and food, Again, perfect place, so whatever you want to do, you can find it there. It wasn't the cheapest of my holidays, but I think it was definitely worth the money. I'm so happy I got to go there, and it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I hope that if you do go, you make the most of it.
Don't wait for